we're acquiring customers for free by following a really unique strategy that really no one else is doing right now. Now, I see a lot of people just regurgitating information that they either heard from Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets book or from Jason Fladley, and no one is really coming up with new ideas and testing new things and putting real ad spend behind it to see what works and what doesn't. And most of the things that these webinar gurus are preaching for you to do are either super outdated or they don't work anymore because of the level of market sophistication that we're in. And so we've been testing a lot of different things, and this is the data that we're actually seeing. And so the traditional way of running a webinar through paid traffic is run them live, maybe once a week, or more often than not, run them once every 4 weeks. There's a free ticket to attend, and then it's about 25% show up rate, 20% show up rate, industry standard, and then 7 to 10% of people that actually see the pitch go ahead and buy. And then you're charging around $1,000 to $3,000 for the product price, and sometimes what you're even doing is you're pushing them to a booked call funnel, and then they get on a call to close, and then the closer will close them out. If you're doing a slightly more what we call advanced webinar, is you're actually running a paid ticket to attend. This is basically everything else is exactly the same. You're still pushing to a book call funnel at the end. You're still getting the same amount of people buying, but maybe you get a slightly higher sharp rate because you're getting them to buy a ticket beforehand. We're doing something completely different. And so you've got to think about what are the unit economics of your business and why are you running this funnel? And so for us, we sell a yearly subscription on the front end through our webinar, and then we have an Ascension offer on the back end. And so for us, we want that recurring revenue to come in every single year, and we're getting a pretty good recurring rate on our income right now. And so our focus is how can we increase the number of people actually buying every single month, get a high conversion rate. We're going for volume on the front end. And then what we want to do is then ascend as many of those people into a higher ticket program on the back end to buy our software at a higher subscription price. So then we can have a higher kind of amount of revenue coming in on the back end of our business. So this is basically how the math propagates. And don't forget, I've already tested this. So this is from real ad spend. So I've done traditional webinars, free webinars. We did it for about a year. We did about $1 million in revenue through it. And now we're doing what we're talking about here. And this is the problem that I have with doing paid webinars. So traditional webinars, let's say you're spending $50,000 a month on paid ads. Your cost per registration is around $11. Let's say this is a B2C webinar. It's a free ticketed event. Anyone can turn up. That is probably standard. Some people are getting like $7. At times we were getting like 15, but about $11 to $12 is pretty standard for what we did. In fact, I'll show you. Actually, no, I can't be asked. But anyway, that means you're going to get around 4,500 registrations. Now, the problem is with the traditional webinar, best case scenario, you're going to get a 25% show rate. Worst case scenario, maybe not worst case, but pretty standard, you're going to get like a 20% show rate. And so the problem that you have here is because you're doing this once a month, you're going to be turning those like 4,500 registrations into just sub 1,000 people live on the webinar. On average, you're going to get around 20 to 25% of people that get to the pitch actually booking in a call. So let's call that 15%. Let's say you get an 80% retention through the webinar. 15% of those people are actually going to go ahead and book a call, like total shows. So 136 book calls. Out of that, the industry standard show rate is about 65% of people that book in a call turning up. Don't forget, these are free leads. They've got no skin in the game at the moment. They've gone to a free webinar, they've watched you, and they've booked on the calendar. So you can have all the book call things in the world to follow up, but 65% is pretty average. Some people get closer to 70%. I've never seen anything higher than that, especially on cold traffic through paid ads. You're going to get about 22 sales for a $3,000 product. You'll do about $66,000, $67,000 in revenue, about a 1.3 times return on investment. Now, if, say, for example, you're charging $4,000, you're going to look at about 1.7. And so this is the problem that I have with traditional webinars. If, say, for example, you do like a paid webinar where it's a ticketed event, you're looking at probably cost per registration of around $30 because people are buying, so that's actually your cost per purchase on the front end. And so the problem is with this is your cost per registration is so much higher, you get way less people actually on the webinar itself. And so while you are liquidating some of your ad spend on the front, you are basically ruining your chances of making revenue on the back end because you're just getting like 75% of the number of people through your webinar. Most of your stats stay the same because this cost to come is like $7, maybe $15 for a ticket. That's not enough to commit to a $3,000 product. And so what my problem is with this is you're spending so much money, but your back end revenue is barely any difference. Maybe you're doing 1.1 ROAS. If you're selling a $4,000 product, this is B2C, you're looking at 1.5. And this is real data from real ads, and this is typically what you can expect. And this used to work. It's just not working that well at scale right now. And so this is what we're doing, all right? If I just take this down, this is our automated webinar. And so we spend the same $50,000 on ads, but this time we're running a free event. So there's no ticketed payments or anything like that. It's still about $11 cost per registration that we're getting. We get 4,500 registrations as we do over here. But because we're running a just-in-time automated webinar that they can attend immediately, we get a 100% show rate. And let me just prove this to you, right? 100% show rate. If I go over to our webinar analytics, you can see this one that we launched a couple of days ago. It's 341 registrations, 355 people attended live, so it's over 100% show rate. Some people come back multiple times. So 100% of people actually turn up to our event. And from that, we get around a 6% conversion rate. So around between 5 and 7%, it depends as you scale, that can drop a tiny bit, but about 6% of total shows actually go through and buy. So it's definitely lower than what you're getting over here. You're getting like, over here you're getting about 15% of people booking into a call. Over here you're getting about 5-6%, but this is direct checkout. Now we're selling a product for around $350. Bearing in mind for us, this is a yearly subscription. So all of this revenue that we generate over here is revenue that we get every single year. So it's recurring. And so from this, we get 273 sales at $350 pop. We're at $95,000. So already we're nearly at a 2x ROAS just on front end because we're getting such a high volume of people. We're getting 4 times the number of people into a webinar as the people over here because they're running them live and they can't get 100% show rates. Then what we do is we ascend them. And so out of these 273 sales, we get around 45%, between 37 and 45, sometimes even 50% of people actually booking in a call. And this is where we're trying to optimize at the moment on with our sales team. And this is where we ascend them into a much better complementary offer. And I'll take you through how we're running that at the moment. And so from the back end of that, we are getting about an 80% show rate. Sometimes it's like closer to 90%, but this is because they've already paid $350. So it's a much larger outlay. They're much more invested. It's a much higher quality customer. It's a much better lead. You get a much higher show rate. And not to mention, they've practically they've paid for that sales call, and so they're way more likely to turn up. And the people that haven't turned up have typically rebooked at a further time down the line. We just haven't got data on whether or not they show up to the second appointment just because they missed the first one. And so you're getting a really high show rate. And because they've already paid you a bunch of money, they've already got the product that they paid for, their trust is so much higher, they've been with you on a webinar, then they've been with your salesperson, the time that they spend with you is so much higher, we're getting around a 30% close rate. So 30% of all the customers that are actually buying our product from that sales call. So we get 29 people buying a $3,000 product. And so your back-end revenue is going to be a further $88,000. So your total revenue over here is about $183,000 from 50K in ad spend, which is a 3.68. And so this is the webinar that we're running right now that is crushing it for us. And like I say, there's a few inefficiencies that we're looking to go ahead and fix, but this is the method that I recommend every single person does when they're running ads. And so this is essentially what we're seeing here. So we're going for a 100% show up rate, 3 to 6% end up buying, $300 to a $500 product. You send them into a book call funnel and you get 25 to 30% close rate on that $3,000 offer. And I'm able to do all of this with one full-time employee and one closer, nobody else on the team. And this is how I'm doing it. It's a really simple funnel. We run ads. All of our ads are AI generated, and I'll show you what our AI ads look like in a minute. So here's an example of one of our AI ads. I won't play the full thing, but you'll see how hyper-realistic this looks. And this was actually made using our software.
I have invented what I think is quite possibly the best business model of 2026. It's called organic AI brand scaling, and this is brand new. Nobody else is doing this right now. It's a completely unsaturated market, and it's perfect for those of you that are trying to get into something before it gets oversaturated.
So those are our AI ads, right? And I make them myself at the moment, but we'll probably get a VA to make a few of those every single week, so we have enough volume coming in. That runs as our automated webinar. We have a book call funnel. Because we're getting about 40 to 50% booking rate right now. Our focus is probably at here. We're going to probably hire a setter to try and get this to like 80% booking rate. If we can get an 80% booking rate, I'll go through what we're going to try and optimize. This is going to completely change the game. Our show rate is super high because they've already paid to be on that call. There's not really much we have to do. So the setter, there's no follow-up or anything needed there. We have some back-end systems and emails and stuff. We have one closer who sells them on an offer. We then don't deliver any coaching. We have a high-ticket placement offer. They just buy a higher tier of our software subscription. And then because we run as a marketplace, we have people coming on one side that need our B2C offer. And so it's a much better system. And so we have no deliverability on the back end. So all I need is a customer support assistant to sell people that have bought from the automated webinar our low-ticket product. Just to answer any questions, that's a VA. We pay her about $500 to $1,000 a month. And then we need a closer, which is paid percentage on 10% cash collected. And so it's a really, really lean funnel. It's a super lean system, and it works incredibly well. And so if we kind of come back to this funnel, you can see where our optimizations are going to be focused on. Right now, our book calls are around about 35%. And so we're looking at about 3x on ads, which is pretty good. Right, I'm not too unhappy with that at all. There's not much I can do with the front end on the webinar. That's converting pretty well. But the book calls, if we can get this to, even if we can get this to a 60%, if we go to 0.6, you can see what's going to happen to our back-end revenue. And I think we can also increase our price. We can go to a 4.2x, and I reckon we can easily charge nearly even $5,000 for our back-end. So we're going to be a 4x. So for every 100 grand, 50 grand we spend, we'll make about $200,000 a month in revenue. And so this is a much more profitable funnel for us to be running, which I'm super happy about. And it's working incredibly well. And the way that we do this is all yearly recurring revenue. And so what that means is all this revenue that we generate in this month is going to be recurring the month after. So let me just show you our WAP dashboard. And so this was our biggest month in January of 2026, did $153,000 in revenue. All of this, pretty much 100% of this revenue is yearly recurring, which means that January of 2027, we're going to process about $150,000 in revenue. And that's free cash flow. There's nothing we have to do to get that. It's all on yearly subscriptions. And the reason why I'm so excited about this is because also our Ascension offer is also a yearly subscription, and then this is a yearly subscription. And we have found absolutely zero difference in charging yearly versus one time. So you might as well get them on a yearly subscription, because mentally people sit there and say, well, the payment's going to be in 12 months, so it might as well be a lifetime access. And so we're selling a software subscription, which means it's a little bit easier for us to get away with charging yearly. If you're selling info, it might not be as easy, but you can see how this funnel can really start to compound and start stacking together. And so what we're really focusing on right now is like I say, is working on this book call rate. We're not really going to focus on improving this show rate too much, but what we are going to focus on is also close rate as well. Because let's say, for example, this dropped to a 20% close rate, it's still going to be super profitable. But if we had our book call rate here of around 35%, we're still more profitable than what we were before. Like last year, we were just running this funnel here with about a 1.3 ROAS. So we're way more profitable over here, but you can see just those two changes is going to massively increase the numbers. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to, number one, the book call rate, we're going to change, this is going to increase our back-end conversion rate plus also our book call rate. What we're going to do is we're going to change how we present the offer on our webinar. And so what we basically do, and I'm not going to show this in too much detail. So what we do is we do our value stack, which isn't a traditional value stack as Russell Brunson does it, but it's something similar. We then do what's called a bonus. So it said, if you join our offer today, you're also going to get a bonus. At the moment, we're changing this right now to be our placement offer. We basically say we've got a coaching program where you get community, one-on-one account manager, personal content reviews, private job listings, coaching calls, extra courses and support. And then I show the case studies, what people are getting from it, the community, the support calls, and I say how much we typically charge for it. So we say we're charging $3,500 for it, and we hire people in, and when you join the system today, you're going to get access to a call to join that system 100% for free. And that's essentially how we do it. So it's a bonus. It's basically just saying, it pitches them the price. It tells them what our coaching offer is going to be. It says every single person here gets your first call with our coach to see whether or not you'd be a good fit 100% for free. And I just don't think that that's the best way of presenting the offer. And so we're changing that completely, because that is doing, I think it's not working the best for us actually increasing our conversion rate to get people booking on the calendar. And so I'm pretty confident that we can get this to probably even about 60% of people booking in. And then the way that we're presenting it right now, people are coming onto our sales call a little bit confused, so the framing is slightly wrong. And so that same change should also improve our framing. And we've also added a VSL on our booking page, and we've also added in some videos to kind of help them explain what the offer is, so they're prepared for the sales call. That should also increase our close rate, and that is what is going to get us to about $200,000 a month from just $50,000 in ad spend. And so I'm super excited to start scaling this offer right now. We're only spending about $200 a day on this, but we're getting sales consistently, and it's working pretty well. And so this was the most recent customer that actually bought our offer, the extra $3,000. Obviously, a bunch of that is actually just VAT that we don't see. So it's about $3,000 product that we're selling on the back end. And so it's working really well. Like, I am super impressed with how easy this funnel is to actually start getting up and running. And the reason why I'm happy with this is because traditionally speaking, when you start scaling to about $100,000 a month on ad spend, your cost per registration goes up, your conversion rate goes down. And what ends up happening is you start seeing numbers a little bit more like this, where you're struggling to make any profit on the front end. And so we're essentially acquiring customers for our back end product essentially for free. In fact, they're paying us to take a sales call. And so if you're running ads right now and you're looking to get customers and you're looking for a much higher margin business, I'd 100% recommend running the liquidation webinar. Like, if you already plan on selling a high ticket offer here for $3,000, like if you're already doing this and you're running a book call funnel, just sell them a liquidation offer for $300. Don't bother charging ticket, because then you're lowering the volume. Sell them a product here. You'll get a large volume of people buying, and you'll be able to book them into a sales call on the back end and then upsell them a $3,000 offer. And so because you're making profit from this product, which is actually going to be profitable, unlike this, which is most likely unprofitable, this just liquidates a tiny bit of spend and just decreases the volume of people coming through, which means that, like, yeah, you are making slightly more profit on the back end from this. This is a much, 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 much better business model. So that's essentially what we're doing to kind of bring in customers 100% for free, and it's working like absolutely blisteringly well. So as usual, if you have any questions about how we're doing this and you want like extra videos on things you want to see on the channel, please let me know down below in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to film a video and take you through how we're doing this. And so here's the ad account, and you can see that today, this is a new campaign we launched last night at midnight. So it's only spent $127, no sales as of yet, and these are kind of the stats that we're seeing. So our CPMs are pretty high, around $100. I expect these to come down. About 50% of these ads are actually AI generated. Unfortunately, the one that's actually getting the most amount of ad spend is still a real ad, which is a little bit frustrating, but we're starting to see a pretty sensible cost per click. Would like this to come down to about $1.80. That's where we were before, but it's a brand new ad campaign, so I'm expecting tomorrow it to be a little bit cheaper. And we're getting around a $45 cost per initiate checkout on this offer. If I go back to our $100 a day campaign, you can see that this campaign is currently sitting at a 6.5 times return on ad spend. So we've spent only about $2,000 on this ad campaign, and we've done about $13,000 in revenue from the back end of this product. And so we're sitting at about $1.85 cost per click, $2 cost per landing page view, and we're getting on average on the back end a $20 cost per initiate checkout. So like, it's working incredibly well. This is like real live data from people that are actually coming through the funnel. The only thing that we really have to fix from this point on is just increasing that booking percentage, ironing out a couple of the problems, and then starting to push a bit more aggressive scale through this. And I reckon we can get this to $100,000 to $200,000 a month pretty consistently with marginal team costs. And it'll be a pretty highly efficient profit margin business. And then it's a question of whether or not we scale the business further, or we start tacking on multiple businesses and we just repeat the same system for multiple different software businesses. So we own like a portfolio of businesses, all doing around $100,000 to $200,000 a month. So yeah, if you've got any questions, drop them down below in the comments. Be more than happy to answer them for you.